Good evening, and welcome back to Our Voice News, an independent news source with a budget lower than the president's approval rating. Our next topic is the U.S. History Is movement, which has been spreading across the nation. Our first guest is Florida Senator Jacob Denlinger. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Senator.
Thank you for having me.
You gave quite a fiery response earlier this morning to the U.S. History Is protests battering the nation's top educational institutions. What are your thoughts on the growth of its movement?
Well, I have pondered this question for some time. I believe that U.S. history is nothing but heroic and just. Mistakes are meant to be made, but who hasn't? Many institutions are being overtaken by radical and extreme ideologies. They place targets on the backs of some students who should not be ashamed of other people's actions. Things have gotten so out of control that this school has canceled in-person classes. Now they've come up with this hybrid model. The madness has to stop. It has to stop.
Senator, what would you say to the student protesters on this matter?
Well, we cannot allow this kind of thinking to flourish on our campuses. It must be stopped in its tracks. I am here joined by my colleagues and President Klein to resign if he does not immediately bring order to the chaos he has provoked. U.S. history cannot be twisted. Me and my party cannot stand to see a future where some children are forced to learn these radical agendas.
Thank you, Senator, for your time. Now, let's hear from student leaders at Brophy College Prep on their response to Speaker Barnwell's previous remarks on this issue. No, because U.S. history is new. The United States has only been around for 448 years and has cemented itself as the most powerful country in world history. We're still young, scrappy, and hungry, but in 1776, the One World Trade Center, also happens to be the birth year of the United States of America, an experiment born from European colonization. U.S. history is complex, a nation built off of freedom. But as soon as it achieved its independence, it continuously took freedom from all non-whites, including black slaves, who were bought and sold as property, raped and abused, often killed, and were void of life for their entire existence. Even after they were freed, they were still treated with inhumanity.
We took freedom from the Native Americans who had lived freely in these lands for millennia before we got here. Asians were excluded from immigrating. Women of all colors had no rights. We discriminated against gay people, along with a plethora of inequalities.
But U.S. history is evolving. The United States expanded from its original 13 colonies by moving west, first west of the Appalachians toward the Mississippi, south into Spanish Florida, bought Louisiana from Napoleon, which is essentially a third of the United States, and argued with Britain about the borders of the Oregon Territory.
They fought a big war with Mexico and gained land from Texas to California. They annexed the Kingdom of Hawaii, blamed the Maine on Spain, and invaded Cuba, Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines.
But then, we advocated for the end of European colonization, and now we just have military bases everywhere. U.S. history is diverse. It's black, white, brown, yellow, red, pink, and guess what, Catholics? It's gay. The United States is built on immigrants. It's not a nation built by Native Americans. Therefore, it was built by those who came here on ships. And that's math. The 20th century saw the social fabric of the nation shift as people were brave enough to use their voices to fight for their futures. Just a few include the unfolding of the Civil Rights Movement, Women's Rights Movement, and Gay Rights Movement. U.S. history is modern. Tech advances such as planes, railroads, and the space race bolstered the U.S. economy, starting with slave machines such as the cotton gin, then adopting British innovation during the Industrial Revolution. Trains connected vast landscapes of the nation. Now they only connect Brooklyn and the Bronx. Production lines. We sent our troops to dig a hole through Panama. Christopher Nolan directed the first successful nuclear launch. Hollywood emerged. Clean water, EPA, satellites, NASA, SpaceX, ChatGPT, the end of the world. Who knows? U.S. history is repeating itself. We're moving backwards. We are regressing. We're split, and we're even taking away freedoms from people. don't know. If you think about it, if we value freedom, shouldn't society be more inclined towards liberalism? But I suppose you need some level of conservatism, or else you have a society where it's acceptable for older men to groom their young female daughters. 2024 will see a historic first where a convicted criminal will be elected to the Oval Office. He'd be eligible for a job at the White House, but he would be ineligible for a job at McDonald's. US history makes sense. Anyway, this is the part of the assignment where I get tired of the topic and end up ranting about Republicans. So the takeaways from this lesson are, if you don't like abortions, don't get one. Have a great night, folks.